Ripple's been making some massive moves. I mean, enormous moves, and the implications for XRP holders is even bigger. I'm going to be going over some of the biggest announcements that came out during Ripple Swell, XRP's largest yearly conference. And some of the things here are honestly going to shock a lot of you, because during a time where the market is in complete turmoil for cryptocurrency, XRP continues to push stronger than ever. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is crypto firm Ripple raises $500 million in the latest investment round. Absolutely massive. In a strategic investment valuing Ripple at $40 billion. The investment comes on the heels of Ripple's $1 billion tender offer earlier this year at the same exact valuation. Ripple's been absolutely killing it, and clearly XRP holders are starting to react to the Ripple Swell stop. We had a massive market capitulation earlier this month, and XRP has been holding as strong as an altcoin realistically can hold. Even Ethereum was cratering in price while XRP held very, very strong. Now, at Ripple Swell, Canary Capital CEO Steven said they're ready to launch an XRP ETF next week. Now, to give you some context, Canary Capital recently launched the first ever altcoin spot ETF in pretty much history. Pure spot, buy and sell, simple as that. They did it with HBAR, and I've covered HBAR quite a few times on this channel. Now they're going ahead and doing this with XRP. The deadline for the XRP ETF is next week for spot. And given the fact that HBAR was approved for spot trading, I do not see a world in which Canary Capital does not get an XRP ETF approved. That is an absolutely huge implication for anybody that honestly is going ahead and holding XRP. I think XRP has massive potential, but even bigger potential is the fact that it gets onto the NASDAQ, onto the stock market, onto even bigger and bigger markets. But even talking about bigger markets, the one thing that I've seen a lot of people talk about XRP about is the whole remittance and the whole oh, we're going to do a settlement layer for banks and all these things. But people have been waiting for a long time for this. And I know there's been a lot of doubters that are saying, oh, but XRP can't do this. There's no way that this is possible. People are not going to use XRP. They're going to use stablecoins. And I think people have absolutely lost the plot. And this is why people this cycle are round tripping all of their gains. They're round tripping all of their gains because they cannot understand what actually makes a crypto pump. What makes a crypto do well? What makes a crypto do well is having an authoritative narrative, a narrative that moves the needle forward, that actually makes things happen. And the big narrative for XRP has never been the fact that they're only going to use XRP. The banks are going to use XRP. My friends, it's not like that at all. They're going to be using RLUSD. And all of these payments are going to be settled on the XRP ledger. So they're going to be using a stable coin, right? Where they're going to be using Ripple USD. These banks are going to be using Ripple USD. And that's how we're going to be burning XRP through RLUSD. The banks can still have stable coins, something that's not as volatile, something that banks can actually get behind. And every time there's a transaction, XRP is burned. That's how you get to these astronomical price predictions for XRP. Now, for a long time, we didn't really have any confirmation on big banks that are actually going to be collaborating. Well, here we go. Ripple Swell. We're collaborating with MasterCard, WebBank, and Gemini to introduce RLUSD settlement on the XRP ledger for fiat credit card payments, starting with the Gemini XRP credit card. Yep. Finally got it. It's about time. And so we are getting some massive announcements. The big banks, the payment processors, they're beginning to go ahead and onboard with Ripple's technology. But something that could threaten ETF possibilities, because this channel is not all about just glazing XRP. It's about giving you realistic news here, predictions and stuff like that. Well, Brad Garlinghouse was talking here about the fact that crypto is very much becoming a partisan issue, and that could be a big problem win potentially getting an XRP ETF, because if one side is trying to block anything crypto, it just makes this whole thing a billion times more complicated than it really needs to be. And Brad's about to say that in this 30-second clip.
I'm intentionally trying not to be partisan, but crypto did become partisan, I think led by Senator Warren, led by Gary Gensler. And I tweeted out when that was happening that the Dems were going to let off a cliff, and I think that's what happened. And I think the reason why it still may get done this year is because I think there are a lot of leaders that are on the D side who realize that technologies should not be partisan. How technologies are used can be partisan and people can judge, but like, you know, it's almost like saying, you know, the Dems are pro-email and the Republicans are anti-email. Huh? It just doesn't make sense. Like, technology should be regulated at their outcomes.
Who in the world decided that crypto was all of a sudden a partisan issue, that we're building an anti-crypto army? Like, in what world is that logical? And listen, I swing both sides depending on issues, how a party is at any given time. But I gotta say, that stance makes no sense. It's like exactly what Brad said here. You can't just be anti-technology. That's like foundationally not American. It's not an American ideal at all. And so the only thing I'm worried about, honestly, with these ETFs is gotta be the fact that crypto right now feels very partisan. It feels like they are becoming radically pro-crypto or radically anti-crypto. Like, in what universe has crypto become a political thing? It makes absolutely no sense. People are gonna use this technology anyway. So that's the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about, honestly. But either way, I'm almost certain that we're going to get an ETF anyway. It's just something that I did want to feature because it is something that's increasingly becoming an issue for whatever reason, even though the fact is that the OG crypto bros are all libertarians. All the OG crypto guys are libertarians. They're not Republicans at all. So I don't really see the whole narrative in which everybody that holds crypto is some kind of Republican. That's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, guys. Like, whoever thought that was a good narrative to run on, I don't even know what to tell you at this point. It's like being anti-internet. We also had the NASDAQ chair and CEO, which went ahead and talked about the fact that they want their technologies to be more readily available, extremely inexpensive. And so they're exploring having blockchain. It's something that I saw, I believe it was last year, correct me if I'm wrong, where the NASDAQ was thinking about onboarding 24-hour markets. So the stock market will never close. That's because of crypto. It's influenced by crypto directly, and it's going to be absolutely massive for the NASDAQ, honestly. It's going to make this bubble even crazier than it already is. The Ripple developers announced today as well that 100 million ledgers were closed. So a lot of ledgers are beginning to go ahead and gain scale. And something I saw a couple days ago, and this is for you Solana guys, Western Union, the world's largest money transfer business, is building exclusively on Solana. I don't know who actually believes this, but the numbers are not supporting this at all. A lot of people were bagging on XRP after this, saying that after all these years, XRP couldn't actually get a deal with a major bank, and that Western Union is now a thing. Guys, they made a deal with Solana. Like, I don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to find out that there's no reason that Western Union would come to Solana unless there were incentives. And so the numbers are pretty, I mean, come on, guys. Ripple Prime is going to settle $3 trillion, and Western Union might settle $25 billion on consumer remittance. Institutions are going to dominate the vast majority of volume. Has anybody heard of Coinbase custody? Where all these ETFs are all flowing money from? It's not from us. It's from the institutions. So I don't know who on Solana decided this was a good marketing stunt, but it is really biting them right now. Ripple Swell is just crazy. It's just announcement after announcement. Franklin Templeton too updated their XRP ETF S1 filings today with shortened language, aiming to launch this month as well. So hopefully we get multiple ETF launches. I am someone that is not going to tell you that an ETF launch is going to send this thing to $300,000 per coin. But I am going to say that all of the cards are stacked on our favor. There have been a lot of people for a very long time that have watched this channel and have made generational wealth with XRP. They've made incredible gains with XRP, HBAR. These cryptocurrencies just being honest, the data shows that these cryptocurrencies have survived. I mean, they've survived the insane volatility that crypto has as an industry, and they've been able to have thousands of percents worth of gains over the course of the past years. There are a lot of people that have a flawed mentality in which they just believe that things should just be going up forever and that people should just be getting rich as soon as they invest $100 into a cryptocurrency. The people that do that are the people that every single cycle come here on my comment section and say, oh no, I round tripped all my gains because I was waiting for a million X. I was waiting for HBAR to hit $100,000 per coin. I was waiting for Ripple to hit $1 billion per coin or something ridiculous that's never going to happen. Well, actually, I guess never say never, right? but something that's very unlikely to happen anytime soon. But if you had just had more realistic expectations, you probably would have held your coins longer. You wouldn't have been as emotionally charged to sell at any dip, and you'd be able to ride the waves. If you're holding a cryptocurrency that is stable over the course of, this is almost a decade at this point, you've got a good bet compared to a lot of these other altcoins. I am not a believer at this stage that you should be getting into altcoins that are in the rank, 94 on the Coin Market Cap website. I'm a big believer of the top 20 coins. Top 20 coins have shown that they have staying power, that they can survive. Some of them aren't doing as well. If you look at AVAX, come on, it's not doing as well as XRP. But if you got into the big boys, then you did pretty good this cycle overall. Every XRP holder that bought in during, even like a year after the bull started, did really well. Really did really well. If you just invested before November 2024, which a lot of people did, and I'm hoping you did too, you did really well. And if you bought the top here, I remember feeling like I had top blasted many years ago. I bought more XRP at about 50 cents and it went down to like 30 cents for ages. Did I feel like I lost all my money on XRP? No. I was making an investment, a long-term investment. And eventually, XRP went well above 50 cents. And I'm a very happy holder of XRP now. So these are not cryptocurrencies that, this kind of news is just magically going to make the crypto go up 10x. I'm not trying to say that. But I am saying that these, over a long enough time frame, absolutely help the case to say that XRP can have these higher price points that it deserves. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. As always, stay classy, and I'll see you all in the next one.